What's going on, you guys? This is Demi. Welcome back to the channel. Today is not going to be a news day, okay? Today, I just felt compelled. I felt compelled today to just be like, let me just tell this story time. Because I was scrolling on Instagram today, and I had noticed something, and I was just like, that's weird. But I was trying to figure that out like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I went on Instagram and I clicked that, and I was like, oh, not unblocked. So I was like, oh. So I was like, let me go ahead and tell this story. Because I'm sure a lot of people in the chat, honey, um, you know, probably have different stories. So I said, let me just tell it like it is, okay? Because, baby, ain't no shame in my game. Today's going to be a story time, okay? Today's going to be a story time about my ex-best friend of 10 years sleeping with my ex. Yeah, so first and foremost, let's get into the beginning of things. Okay. So I want to take it back a couple years, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. I was living back at home, and I was doing my thing. I was working, I was living in my apartment, da 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 da. So backstory, me and my best friend, we'll call him Rob. Okay. Me and Rob have been friends for almost 10 years. Would have been 10 years this year. Almost 10 years of friendship. We started working together or whatever. And then, that friendship from job just kind of transitioned and just cultivated itself, right? Now we done moved to Atlanta together and everything and worked together. Like, baby, we was thick as thieves, right? So I'm not even gonna go through a whole backstory because, you know, but we were really close, right? We was really close, and so up until recently, like maybe three years ago, I had moved into my apartment back at home after coming from Atlanta. Whatever, it didn't work, but and so I had met. Of course, we're on the apps. The girls, we got to get on the apps. Okay, the girls, we got to get on the apps. We got to see, where the men at, where the men at. And specifically, my city is very small, so like everybody knows everybody. Everybody probably already messed with everybody at one point. So I was on the apps, and Facebook has this dating app. So I was like, let me just get on just cause entertainment, da da da. So I met a guy. We'll just call him. Fuck it. We'll just call him Spoon. So so Spoon. So Spoon. I had met Spoon on the app. So we're talking, just having a casual conversation, da 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 da. That ended up going into phone conversations and FaceTimes like regularly. So this happened for about a week or so, right? So we had planned on hanging out and whatnot. So I went to go hang out with him. So I went to go hang out with him. It was cool, it was chill, but he was trying to be on some freaky deaky, and that I just wasn't on no freaky deaky right then and there, right? So I left. I called my friend Rob. So of course, whenever we go on these meeting trips with these guys, we'll call each other, give the rundown. Hey, I'm over here. Hey, I'm over here, just in case, because you never know what's gonna happen. You just gotta make sure that you check in with somebody who could relay a message just in case something happens. So specifically this time, I had went over to one of the cities over. So when I was leaving the guy's house, I called my friend. He was like, "Hey, what you doing?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm over here meeting up with somebody." He was like, "Oh, who you meeting up with?" I was like, "Oh, I'm meeting up with this dude. He's real cool, like, real cool. He kind of handsome, you know." And so I was like, "Yeah." So I can't remember who said send me a picture, but I ended up sending a picture of the guy, right? So I send the picture, and Rob just starts giggling, right? Just starts giggling. So giggling and not saying nothing. So now I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because I'm like, oh Lord, he didn't already met Spoon or something. So he giggles. So he's like, oh yeah, I was talking to him too. And I was like, oh. Mind you, they haven't met. They haven't met, right? They were just texting. So, I mean, you know, adults, baby, people are gonna text more than one person. Hell, I was doing it when I met him, so it was kind of like I was talking to other people too because girl, I'm not in a relationship. I can talk to who I want to talk to. So he's just giggling. He's like, "Oh yeah, I was talking to him too," and I was like, "God damn it!" Right? So mind you, me and Rob have kind of been through this before. So backstory, I had met another guy prior, okay? Prior to Spoon, okay? And just on some cool stuff, of course, I checked in with Rob. Hey, I'm over here, blah, 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 just in case. So, just in case some fugazi happens, my location, where I'm at, boot the boot the bop. So initially when I had met the other guy, I was hanging out and Rob just happened to call my phone, right? And I answer. And so as me and Rob were talking, I think we FaceTimed. I want to say we FaceTimed. And the guy was speaking and saying, hey. And so Rob was like, his voice sounds familiar. And I'm like, what you mean? Like, what you mean? What you mean? I'm like, of course, we probably know each other. So I sent him a picture of that guy. He knows him. So he goes, oh yeah, I was talking to him last month. I don't talk to him no more. It was just a hookup thing, right? So I was like, oh, okay. Okay. So mind you, this is right then and there as I'm in the car with the new guy. So I'm like, what in the world? So after I hung out with that guy, of course I called Rob. I'm like giving him a rundown. I'm like, girl, when did you meet him? Da, da, da. He was like, oh, he was just like a hookup thing. That's not no biggie, Girl, do you? I don't even talk to him no more, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, obviously, I know that y'all smashed, so it's not gonna be on the relationship stuff, and you ain't on no relationship stuff with him either. Like, even you said you don't talk to him no more anyway. So mind you, Rob has guys, right? Rob doesn't have a shortage of guys, okay? So it's not really like, oh, girl, I'm so in love with him. It's just very much, I need a fix. Let me call you type tease, right? So I go hang out with the guy again, and we're chilling, and then he tells me about Rob, how when they met and everything. I was like, okay, da 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 da. So I noticed that the guy was trying to like say and do slick stuff to like, I don't know, I guess rev up the engine between me and Rob. Is like he's gonna come in between me and Rob. And I was like, girl, it's not working like that. So then fast forward maybe like a week or so, I'm talking to Rob, and Rob is like, oh yeah, the guy, he texted me and did da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, okay. So now my signal is off because I'm like, you just said you didn't talk to him, but as soon as I get to talking to him or whatever, now you back talking to him all of a sudden. Now all of a sudden this is a thing. So fast forward, I take note of that. I'm like, okay, this is weird. So then I start noticing the new guy try to say and do stuff like, oh, I'm just gonna call your friend, and so call your friend to da 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 if you not gonna do da 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 da. So I'm like, okay, that's it for me, because number one, the dude was a liar, and it was just he was a piece, he was a pass, he wasn't nothing serious. So after that, I stopped talking to him because I told Rob, girl, I'm not finna be in no mixy stuff, and I'll be damned if a dude think he finna like go back and forth with friends. You know what I mean? Like, oh girl, I'm not finna. I used to tell Rob all the time, I'm not finna be part of nobody's story. Like, oh yeah, I had two friends that did all this and all that. So, mind you, keep that in mind of that situation. So fast forward to me meeting the new guy. And Rob says that he talked to him on the app, I'm assuming. I was like, oh, okay. So I called the guy. I said, what were you trying to do? Mind you, the guy was texting Rob like, come over. So as I'm hanging out with the guy, he's texting Rob to come over as well. And I'm like, oh, you trying to do a whoop de whoop de whoop. So I stopped talking to the guy altogether. Cause I'm like, it's too mixy. Again, I don't want to be part of nobody's story. And I be no it's you're not finna come between me and my friend. So I stopped talking to him, but then I thought about it. So a month went by, right? No conversation with the guy. I just happened to text the guy again, just like, because we really had good chemistry. It was cool, chilling. It was like real cool vibes. You know what I'm saying? So when we linked back up, we actually hung out, da 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 da. So as we're hanging out, I ended up calling my friend because we both agreed that we weren't going to talk to him because it was just weird, right? So then so me and the guy start hanging out, doing our thing, having fun, what, whoop de whoop. So I'm calling Rob like, oh yeah, he's cool. He's a cool vibe. I'm back talking to him. He's a cool vibe. Da 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 da. Right. So everything's cool, right? So fast forward 2 months later, now we're intense. Me and the new guy. So the new guy asks like, you want to be my girlfriend? And I'm like, are you sure this is what you want? Mind you, I was chilling. Like, I wasn't even doing, like, no relationship stuff. We was just chilling. So, I guess, I'm such a vibe. So, like, when people meet me, I'm, like, so down to earth. And I'm, like, chill. And I'm cool. And I'm funny and goofy and whatever. So, he asked me and I said, are you sure? And so before that happened, I had to ask him. I said, did you hook up with my best friend? Because my initial thought and what I was told was they just text, they never met up, right? And there was a thing where he was like they were trying to meet up, but it didn't happen, and that's just ended what it was. And he said they didn't hook up. And I asked my best friend as well, did y'all hook up? And he said no. So we're in a relationship, right? This guy is living with me for like three to 4 months. Everything's cool. But then I start noticing some patterns, and text message, same old, same old, same old, same old, whatever. He's trash, whatever. So we end up breaking up. He leaves, takes all his stuff, and he dips. So I called my friend Rob, and I'm venting, like I'm sad, like I done drove all the way over to the man's job, like trying to get an understanding. I wasn't gonna attack him. I'm just trying to get an understanding because this is my first time like ever living with the dude and really like taking somebody serious, seriously, like for real, for real. So, Rob is just like, girl, just move on, like you cool, da 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 da. Cool. So I move on. But between the years that me and Spoon were dating, we would link back and talk about, getting back together and what needs to change. And, since I had moved to Atlanta, he came and visit me to Atlanta, all this and all that. And so now we talk about the recent stuff, right? So we get into 2024. Mind you, this happened. We dated in 2021. Okay. So at this point, I'm in Atlanta. I'm working. Me and Brad talk very seldomly, but distance. So it's not distance. So, we don't really talk every day. So we talk probably twice a month. And sometimes we may jump a month or two or whatever. So I had an inkling. I had a little bit of inkling, right? So something in my soul was just like, I'm not back home. They're both down there because Spoon was driving trucks, but he stopped driving trucks, so he went back to work in the city. And I just had an inkling, like, why I feel like something's going to happen, if not already. I just felt it. I just felt it. It was just something in my bone between them, just like, because you know how like you trust people, but like you don't trust people. In certain situations, you don't trust people, right? So I had this inkling, just a tiny bit of inkling, like something may happen. I'm not there, but I would hope my friend wouldn't do nothing, right? Right. So, yeah. So Me and my friend Rob haven't talked for like 2 months, right? 2024. Haven't talked in 2 months. So I get a phone call and I'm like, oh, it's Rob. Yeah, we get to chat, catch up, da 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 da. So he's like, hey, what's going on with everything? Everything's great. Work is work. Work is working per usual. And so Rob says, yeah, I talked to Spoon, and I was like, oh really? How'd that go? He's like, yeah, he was just like telling me about him having to come back home and having to go back to the same job that he quit and everything, and he got arrested, and so he's not truck driving anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay. So in my head, y'all, I'm thinking, okay, Rob is finna tell me that, you know, Spoon and called him and was like, hey, I want to get back with Demi, right? So Rob is telling me everything, but I don't hear anything about me. Because if you talk to my ex, the conversation should be about me. And the conversation should be about maybe us getting back together or him trying to apologize to me, right? Nope. Nope. He told me about everything, right? So yeah. Rob's like, yeah, he asked me on a date and da 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 da. And I'm like, say what? What you mean he asked you on a date? So he's like, oh, he asked me on a date to the crawfish festival. And I'm like, that's weird. In my head, I'm like, this weird. Like, what's going on? So now my antennas are. Now I'm like, I know what's about to go down. I just know it. Y'all, I was so flabbergasted. So then Rob drops the ball on me because I told Rob, I said, because Rob had initially said that he was Spoon was talking trash about me, like I'm so skinny, I'm not, da 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 da, and I done moved to Atlanta and da 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 da. I done got so skinny and all that, and I'm like, really, I done gained weight actually. You haven't even seen me, so the last time you saw me, baby, I probably wasn't eating that much, but baby, I done got a couple pounds on me. So I told Rob, I said, I'm finna call him, right, and ask him. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know you are. And I was like, yeah. So then Rob was like, he probably gonna be like, oh, talk about how me and him slept together. Y'all. When Rob said that, I was mind blown. I was so astonished, but I kept my cool and I was like, huh? But in my head, I wanted to scream. Cause I was like, what? Hold on. It was just so much all at one time. I couldn't get myself together, y'all. I couldn't get myself together because I'm like, what in my head? I'm like, what do you mean? He's probably gonna say that y'all slept together. But that was before you. Rob said, oh, well, that was before you. What? What do you mean? These are questions that I asked both of you before me and him even got into a relationship. Y'all said y'all ain't even meet. Y'all ain't even met up. So what y'all told me is totally different of what's going on. So Rob continues to tell me and was like, yeah, we were on the phone and he was just like, oh, you gonna tell your friend that me and you had sex and da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, this is what this phone call is for. It really isn't to check up. It's really to beat Spoon to the punch. because you think he's going to call me and tell me. And so you wanted to make sure to kind of soften the blow to make sure it don't look a little more crazy than it's already going to look. Right? So you tried to cover your ass. And so I was putting two and two together, right? So I'm like, y'all asking each other on a date. I'm not even thinking about the actual sex. I'm thinking more so the date. So I call Spoon and I just go in. I was like, so you asking my best friend on a date? What's that about? And he's like, ask him on a date? What do you mean? I just offered to go to the festival with him. He was already going with his mom. And I'm like, well, that's not what he's telling me. And Spoon is just like, well, that's what it is. I didn't ask him on a date. I just said I'll join y'all. So now I'm still not even thinking about the sex part. I'm thinking about the date part. Because I'm like, how'd y'all even get to that conversation? Why y'all even having conversations like that? Why is my best friend of 10 years having a conversation with my ex talking about a date? It's not making sense to me. So then I'm like, okay, hold on. So I hang up on Spoon. I call Rob. And then I call back Spoon. And then I put all of us on a three-way call. Because clearly everybody don't know what they said and what they did and what happened. So I'm going to put all y'all on the phone so y'all can figure it out. So now it's not he say, she say, everybody on this phone. So we're on the phone and everybody has two different stories. Rob is saying Spoon asked him on a date, and Spoon is saying, I didn't ask Rob on a date. I just said I'll join him. So now I'm like, okay, this is officially getting mixy. So now I'm looking at both of them crazy, right? I'm like, we talking about dates? Then we talking about sex? So then I get off the phone with Spoon. I'm livid, but I'm still cool and calm and collected. So I get back on the phone with Rob. We just have a casual conversation. And so something told me, I said, in my head, I'm like, let me just be honest with my friend right now. So I go, friend, I'm really hurt by it. Because what you should have done was shut it down. Right? And so Rob's like, yeah, I talked to, we'll just name him. We'll name him Lemmy, and we'll name one Carlos. It's like, yeah, when it happened, I didn't know how to tell you because you really liked him, and I didn't want to mess that up. And I'm like, if you would have told me that from the get-go, then I wouldn't have got with him from the start. And then he's telling me that he talked to two of our other friends, which are mutual, that I'm mutual friends with through way of him. And I'm like, so everybody's in my house. They done visited. We done chilled. We done smoked together. Everybody's coming to my house knowing this tea, and no one said anything. But granted, Rob is my best friend. So if anybody should be breaking the tea or giving the tea, it should be Rob. So now I look stupid. So now I'm looking at it as a way of everybody's laughing at me because they know something that I don't know. Y'all coming to my house, we drinking, we smoking, we having a good time, and everybody knows the tea except me. Everybody knows except me. So now Rob goes, well, you shouldn't feel bad or you shouldn't feel sad because you already knew how he was from the get-go. And I said, and I'm like, instead of my friend saying, I know you're sad. I'm sorry, friend. I should have told you. I get well, you should have known he was no good, basically. You really shouldn't feel bad. That's verbatim he told me. You really shouldn't feel bad because you knew who he was from the get-go. So did I know you from the get-go? Because clearly not. If you kept this secret on from years ago. But now in my head, I'm like, you're telling me this today. You're telling me this today, years later. I feel like y'all may have already slept with each other again. And your guilty conscience was killing you. So you had to come. And you was nervous that he was going to tell me first. So if you were able to keep a secret this long, y'all probably have already hooked up again. So that's how my mind was going. And then instead of saying sorry, all I got was, well, I'm just gonna get some money out of him. I kid you not, y'all. I kid you not. There was no, friend, I'm not gonna talk to him. I'm not gonna go on a date. I shouldn't have done it. It was, friend, he ain't shit. I'm just gonna get some money out of him. What money? What money? Please let me know what money he got. Let me know what money he got that is worth your friendship over. He's not a millionaire. I mean, I was paying for everything when he was staying with me. Didn't have a job. Helped him find a job. Motivated him to get a job. So what money? So I'd have been told all of this. And instead of an apology from my best friend, I get I'm just going to use him for money. I'm just going to use him for money. Even after I told my friend, even after I told Rob that I was hurt, he's still talking about getting money from him. And I was like, what in the world? So I left it alone. I left it alone because I didn't want to argue about a man with my best friend. So me and Rob were on the phone. We had a cool conversation, got off the topic. Hee ha 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 hoing. And I thought to myself, I could get over it. So when I slept, I went to sleep. I told him I'll call him tomorrow. Went to sleep. And I woke up. And I sat and I thought about it. I said, I'm about to be 30. And this is a serious situation. This is something that could happen more and more times again with the next man. And I thought about it. And I said, I can't get over it. I can't get over it. So instead of arguing with my best friend, I simply hit the block button. I hit the block button on every single social media site, numbers and everything. I just blocked them. Because I said, I don't even want to go back and forth. I already had a conversation with you. I already told you I was hurt. And your response was I shouldn't be hurt. And you were just going to use him for money. As if I was going to be okay with that. As if that's a valid thing to say to somebody. A valid thing to say to your best friend. So I blocked him. And I went on about my business. And on top of that, so after that, the whole day went by. Mind you, I was already talking to another guy anyway, like having a conversation. It wasn't no big deal. It wasn't no big thing. And as I'm on FaceTime with the guy, I get a random phone call. I didn't answer because I don't answer because there might be bill collectors. Okay. And then I get long text message. So my stomach dropped to my ass because I'm like, this is a lot of messages. Who the fuck I done pissed off? So I finally look, and it's Rob from a fake number. Sent the long text message. When I see you, I'ma beat your ass. All this, right? And now I'm really finna go F him, you know. You wanna fall out over a man, da 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 da. And I'm looking at the message and I said, this is why we're falling out. This is why I blocked you. Because you have no sense of respect. You have no sense of care for me. Then goes on to say, Oh, you never cared about me and da 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 da. You're trying to play the victim card. You're trying to play the victim card because you're in some mess. You're in some mess that you caused. Because you honestly could have just kept it quiet and not told me. But your guilty conscience was killing you. Because you just knew my ex was going to call me and tell me. So I looked at those messages and I couldn't do nothing but giggle. And I couldn't do nothing but shake in disappointment. Because I said, I'm not finna go back and forth with my best friend. As much as I'm angry, I'm not finna do that. He said he was gonna put a hole in my said he was gonna put a hole in my head and run me over. I'm gonna post the text messages right here. Just so everybody can see, right? So then I called my best friend. He's my brother. That's my ride or die. Okay, would never do no mess like this. And I sent him the text messages because we're mutual friends. He was mutual friends at the time with Rob. And he said, girl, he sent me a voice note. He sent me a text message. Tell Demi when I see her, I'm running her over. She better be ready to fight. Da 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 da. I'm like, wow. You would have thought I slept with his man. You would have thought I did something. You would have thought I did something to him. The way that he was texting and calling my best friend and sending text messages to my best friend, you would have thought I did something to him. But all that was a guilty conscience, baby. All that was a guilty conscience. And I still to this day cannot believe that happened because it was like, damn, somebody that I've been friends with for years, almost 10 years, I had to cut off over a man. And not even over a man, but over the principle of being honest and being loyal. And when I gave you a shot to tell the truth, you didn't. And even then, you didn't care to tell the truth because you still continued to talk to my ex and probably already slept with him. Go ahead. It's not big. Big whoop-de-doo. My ex is going to smash whatever got a hole. You're not the first and you're not the last. Put a little value on yourself. So to this day, so when I happen to scroll today on Instagram, and one of our mutuals I had just checked, and I thought about him. I said, let me check and see how he doing. And I couldn't pull it up. I was like, oh, well, maybe he deactivated his page. No. I happened to look. Someone tagged him in it. And I'm blocked. I said, oh, she done got to you. She done got to you. But why are you going to be friends with somebody who tells your health status? Yeah. You want to be loyal behind that? As soon as you find out, baby, they telling me. They telling me y'all say you ain't even said nothing about it. And I kept it cool. I didn't say nothing. Because y'all friends. So sometimes you gotta let people see the snake themselves. You could tell them that the snake is in the grass. But sometimes people ain't gonna believe it unless they see it moving. Sometimes you gotta let them see it moving. So I did the story time because I had seen something today and it triggered me and I was just like, this is crazy. And I was like, I know Rob is out there telling a story. And on top of that, Rob, fast forward to the initial guy that we both happened to meet. He brought that up in the text messages too and said, oh, well, you messed with Kevin after I messed with him. Baby, he was the slide. That wasn't nobody that you were in a relationship or you even liked. You weren't even talking to him then. You just happened to talk to him again because you found out that I was talking to him. And I should have known from then. Something was fugazi. How you going to compare a hoe to my man? That you can't do that. You can't do that. And all the while, all that screaming and hollering, and when I see you, you better be ready to fight. All it is your guilty conscience is killing you because you really lost your best friend. You really lost your road dog over a man that can't even get a Subway sandwich. Come on now. Come on now. That don't make no sense. But this is the story time. It's unfortunate that people still do people like that. And honestly, that type of betrayal is honestly, it makes me so leery now. Really making new friendships and rekindling. But yeah, so this is story time. I'm good. I'm single. I'm having a good time. I'm in Atlanta. I'm having a good time. Everything's gonna come into play for me. And make sure you comment, rate, and subscribe. And let me know if I did the right thing. Should I have kept being friends with Rob, or should I have cut off Rob? Who knows? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and make sure you subscribe because we're coming back. We're coming back. Until next time, see y'all later.
Baby, do what I should, man. Baby, do what I could, man. Baby, do what I should.